Hey guys, Whitebeard here. Today we wanted to break down the brand new release champion by Riot, so we'll be taking a look at Bel'Veth in the only guide you need for the Empress of the Void. So let's get started. And oh, before we dive into her kit, I just wanted to say that from the moment of her release and the internet exploded, from Twitch to Reddit to YouTube, and the word of mouth was kinda divided on how they perceive her, from memes and videos about how broken she is, to pros and other streamers talking about how stupid or how bad this champion is. So, we leave the judgment to you.
I think this like, it's so stupid because why do we keep getting champs like this? Like, Zarya was such a good champ addition. But then we get Viegon again.
Her Q, Void Surge, will gain the ability to pass through walls.
And it is 9 minutes into the game. And from that, the passive off of her ultimate, there is a huge minion wave that is stacked up. They managed to force her back onto the Tahm Kench, and just take a look at the damage that Bel'Veth can do super early game if you time it back incorrectly, if there's a massive minion wave to take advantage of, or if you actually let Bel'Veth get a hold of the Rift Herald. Now, obviously, this isn't something that she can always do. She can only do it a couple times per game, and she has to have taken either Rift or Baron to be able to get the Empowered ultimate that she has currently on the screen. But look at that. You've essentially doubled, even tripled the minion wave here. And considering this person is playing Tahm Kench, there is so many things on the screen right now. He's barely going to be able to get a tongue lash off. He's going to be able to basically never be able to hit his target. And nobody is able to react to this. By the time people actually start to be able to react to this, like the Akshan backs to try and get some action on this, it is too late. Third tower has already fallen. And honestly, this isn't even necessarily a fight that they actually win. You're playing against basically two duelists when you're playing in a squishy AD carry and a tank that, granted, can do a lot in a 1v1 potentially, but certainly with this many minions racking up, like, there's absolutely nothing he can do here. We are 10 minutes in, just under 11 minutes. One of the Nexus towers falls. The second one is getting blasted down. Bot lane have only just realized what's going on here. Even Jhin has not even noticed what's happening.
I do not believe that there is any champion in the jungle who, if they're even with Bel'Veth, Bel'Veth is able to 1v1 them. I do not believe that there is a champion that is a actual possibility. I just do not think that it is an actual thing.
So as for the abilities, her passive, Death in Lavender. Bel'Veth gains permanent attack speed stacks after taking down large monsters and champions. She also gains temporary bonus attack speed after using an ability. Now, I think this is pretty broken at the late game because there is no limit to the attack speed that Bel'Veth can gain. And this can be very dangerous if the game lasts longer and Bel'Veth can actually scale more and more. She's like Veigar on steroids, basically getting more and more attack speed and becoming more and more deadly. As for her Q, Void Surge. Bel'Veth dashes in a chosen direction and damages all enemies she passes through. Now, this is a bit tricky because each direction has its own personal cooldown, plus it's the tool that you will basically use to farm, it's the tool that you will basically use to dodge, and it's also the tool you'll use to reset your auto attacks. It is your main ability. Q is what you use in almost everything when it comes to Bel'Veth. It's the tool that helps you do it all, from farming to fighting to kiting. This is the most extremely important ability, so always keep that in mind. Make sure to use it wisely and make sure to understand the directions you're using as well. As for her W, Above and Below. Bel'Veth slams her tail to the ground, damaging and knocking up and slowing her enemies. See, here's the deal. this W is quite fast. It's like the same knockup of Velko's, but it's way quicker, and the range is in a rectangular shape rather than a circle. Now, this can be very tricky. Casually, I would say that this ability is really good if you flash then use it to maybe corner someone or knock up someone, or you can use it then flash away from enemies. This way you can knock them up and create distance. So the combo for escape would be W flash Q. This way you can create distance and put some CC on the enemy. And this is very useful. Now, as for her E, Royal Maelstrom. Bel'Veth roots herself in place, channeling a storm of slashes around her that targets the lowest health enemy and grants herself lifesteal and damage reduction. See, now this is why the internet is going insane. Her E can be defined as one of the most broken abilities, yet a little bit what? Ability. It's kinda problematic. See, it does reduce 70% of the damage you take, and it in exchange gives you 70% lifesteal. See, so if you are playing, say, against a tank and a squishy AD carry, it's very easy for you to actually attack the tank and get all the healing you need, because let's face it, it's basically the damage you deal on the E is basically true damage, and that makes it even more broken, because all that healing you just receive it anyway. It doesn't really matter if the enemy has an armor, magic resist, whatever you name it, it's going to be a true damage. So the only hindrance here is the fact that her E makes her immobile, and accordingly, and also can be interrupted if she gets CC'd. So it's kinda situational. In my opinion, it's basically depends on the matchup. In some matchups, the E will be absolutely broken, and in some matchups, the E will be completely useless. As for her ultimate, Endless Banquet, Bel'Veth consumes Void Remnants, transforming her into her true form and increasing her maximum health, attack range, attack speed, out of combat movement speed, and consuming these remnants of the void of also epic monsters will grant her longer ultimate duration, as well as the power to summon Void Remora. Now, the idea here, what you need to know about Bel'Veth, is that her ultimate lasts for 2 minutes, and killing an enemy, of course, refreshes that ability by pressing R to where they died. Not only this, in her true form, basically she can dash through walls. If you don't have her true form and you try to use your Q over a wall, you will not be able to do that. So her ultimate also gives you extra mobility that you might need to survive or finish off someone. And this is very important to remember. Also, one of the things that you need to keep in mind is that to summon the Remora, if you have an epic monster, let's say for example, you take the Rift Herald. Now, the Remora you're going to summon are going to be way more. You will be in your true form, and then with the Rift Herald, you can actually summon more Remora. I'm not sure if this is something wrong with the champion, like some sort of a glitch so far, or this is actually how it should be, but either ways, this is how it works for now. Now, let's talk about her builds and items. Now, there's been a lot of experimenting with her runes, items, from Press the Attack to Lethal Tempo to Conqueror, even Hail of Blades, and after some research, I found 2 sets of runes that might be worth a try. Now, first off, we start with the off-tank Bruiser build. And in that build, we go first for the runes. We will go for the Precision Tree, we go for Conqueror, into Triumph, then Legend Alacrity, followed by Last Stand. And for the second tree, we go for the Inspiration Tree, Magical Footwear, then Cosmic Insight. And for the flexes, we go for 1 flex of attack speed, 1 flex of attack damage, and 1 flex of HP. This set of runes mainly is set to make you capable of taking off fights, mid-game and later on. See, once you actually get fed a little bit and you're capable of scaling, you will literally destroy everyone at late game. And for that, you will need Kraken Slayer into Boots, then followed by Blade of the Rune King, Distance, Guinso's Rage Blade, and the last item can be situational between tank item, Guardian Angel, or another offensive item depending on the situation. As for the second build, the durability and lifesteal build, and for this playstyle you need Press the Attack, and bear in mind that this will not probably work on tanks, so be wary of the matchup. So, you take Press the Attack into Triumph, then Legend Alacrity, Last Stand, and for the secondary tree we go for the Domination tree, and we take Taste of Blood and Treasure Hunter. We take 1 flex of attack speed, 1 flex of attack damage, and 1 flex of armor. And for the build on that kind of pathing, you will have to go for Immortal Shield Bow as a core item, then followed by Boots, into Death Stance, Blade of the Rune King, Bloodthirster, and lastly, Spirit Visage. Now for the playstyle, there is not a lot of words that can be said so far about her since she's really new, but all we can say is just simple few words. For example, in her early game, overall, Bel'Veth is quite weak early and she really cannot take on a 1v1 fight. Accordingly, early on, she just aims to farm and focus on taking easy ganks and counter ganking without risking too much. As for the mid game, you need to focus on the objectives and taking fights in groups, gaining your form, then from there you will be way stronger and feel way more comfortable playing her, and all meanwhile you need to keep up your CS score to keep on scaling. As for the late game, it's the phase where Bel'Veth becomes the true Empress. She can destroy anyone in a 1v1, and her bruiser-like style is extremely durable for fights. She's without a doubt the biggest threat in the late game of every game. As for the matchups, Bel'Veth is strong against Olaf, Zed, Talon, and Karthus. And she's weak against Elise, Trundle, Rek'Sai, and Poppy. Well, I wish you guys enjoyed this video and now have a better understanding of the champion, so be sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe to stay tuned for more upcoming videos. Whitebeard out.